Okay, a voice for the invisible church. I'm a church planter. I've actually planted 4 churches. And when I was trained in doing so, I was trained in material that was developed in a culture that was foreign to my own. And I soon found out that Black people weren't white folk and dark skin. There were cultural and sociological differences in the way they practiced their faith. So a few years ago, in 2013, I ran into an article by Christianity Today about a study on African American church planting. I was really excited. Maybe there were some insights that could help me in my efforts. But as I read who had actually been part of the study, I was quickly disappointed. The people were all members of predominantly white denominations. Now, I knew 3 of them. They're decent people, but could it be possible that someone who's part of a Black church would know something about planting Black churches? I started to wonder, I wonder how big the Black church is in America compared to the white church. So I decided to do a little research. Wikipedia and the Handbook of US and Canadian Churches, I looked at the 20 largest denominations and broke them out by predominantly Black or predominantly white. Now, it so happens that many of the predominantly white denominations have a significant number of Black members, but the Black denominations are usually about 99% Black. As I look through this, and on our chart, all the orange are the predominantly Black denominations. I said, wow, there were 6 Black denominations that were actually larger than the most prominent denomination in the study. I went further and summarized, and I found that 33% of denominational Protestants are members of Black denominations. I was surprised. In America, Blacks are about 1 out of 10 people. So we're about 3 times more prominent in terms of denominational Protestants than the numbers would represent. What's going on here? I started looking very, very closely to see whether this was an anomaly. I started looking to see whether there were other things where members of the Black church were speaking. And for the last 5 years, I've scoured Christian media. I have never seen one article by a Black Christian leader who's still a member of a Black church in mainstream Christian media. I was surprised. We're 1 out of 3, but we have nothing to share with ourselves or the church at large. Wow. It brought something to memory that historians now talk about the origin of the Black church not being something that the slave master had done with slaves, but how the slaves outside of the master connected their African spirituality with God outside of the view of anyone. And it was called the invisible institution. That's the institution that birthed the Negro spirituals. That's the institution that birthed We Shall Overcome. That's the institution that birthed the southern terminus of the Underground Railroad, the invisible institution. In 2019, the Black church is still an invisible institution. There's an African proverb, until lions have their own historians, tales of hunting will always glorify the hunter. That's an interesting story. That it's really important that if someone wants their story told, they have to tell it. James Cone, a Black liberation theologian, said, if the Black church does not recover its authentic, liberating past, it will not be able to know what to do in the present in order to build a new future. The Black Christian community needs its own voice, telling its own story, sharing its own insights. That's where this periodical, God's Griot, comes in. Its logo is a Sankofa bird, an indigenous symbol where you need to look back in order to go forward, to build upon the past, to look into the future. As I was thinking about this, I sort of hear in the background an old song that Billie Holiday used to sing about the importance of having your own. Be quiet. Let me be quiet for a second. I think you can hear it. So the Bible says, and it still is new. Mama may have, Papa may have. God bless the child that's got his own. That's got his own. God bless the child that has his own. God's griot be for and by the Black church. God bless the child that has his own. I invite you to subscribe to God's Griot, www.godsgriot.com. A year from now, my big dream is that we're one of the top 10 African-American Christian blogs. Madam Toastmaster?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And best wishes to you, Norman, for God's Griot. And I love it that you are dreaming big and living your dream in 2019.